Have you ever walked into a place, feeling like $1,000,000, only to be cut down by a single withering glance? That's precisely what happened to 12-year-old Amelia Johnson in a high-end Madison Avenue boutique, a day she'd dreamed about for weeks. "Excuse me, darling, but I think you're lost. The children's section is upstairs." Jessica Thompson's sharp voice, an unwelcome echo in the pristine store, dripped with condescension, aimed squarely at Amelia. Amelia, clutching her grandmother Dorothy's hand, fought to hide the sting of those words. She was here on a full scholarship from a prestigious private school to pick out a special dress for graduation, a moment of pure joy, now curdled. "We're looking for a dress for a special occasion," Dorothy replied with a quiet dignity that seemed to baffle the saleswoman. Dorothy, 68, had raised Amelia since infancy and knew this kind of blatant dismissal all too well. The head saleswoman, Lauren Mitchell, approached, her eyes scanning Dorothy's simple shoes, her unbranded bag, the wool coat that whispered of countless winters. Her trained gaze missed nothing, especially not what she perceived as a lack of wealth. "Our dresses start at $3,500, Lauren announced, a forced smile thinly veiled. Perhaps Macy's, a few blocks away, would have more suitable options. Around them, other customers exchanged whispers and knowing glances. "Honestly, anyone walks in anywhere these days," a blonde woman scoffed to her friend, clutching a Hermes bag. Amelia's cheeks burned, but she held her head high. Dignity, her grandmother had taught her, was priceless. "Can we just look?" Dorothy asked softly. "My granddaughter earned excellent grades. She deserves something special." Jessica giggled. "Of course, but please don't touch anything. These are delicate, imported pieces." Little did these women know, just a few blocks away, a powerful force was stirring. A woman, whose own journey was a testament to resilience, was concluding a meeting that would ripple through Manhattan's corporate landscape. She was a mother, a protector, and the one person on earth who would never, ever, stand by while her daughter was humiliated. And as you'll soon see, her arrival wasn't just about justice for Amelia, it was about tearing down a system of prejudice, one luxury boutique at a time. Dorothy, with a subtle glance at her phone, saw the simple message, "Arriving in 10 minutes." A small smile touched her lips. Some people, she thought, always reveal their true character. Lauren Mitchell, with an air of theatrical pity, led Amelia and Dorothy to a cramped section at the back of the store. There, 3 drab dresses from previous seasons hung carelessly on crooked hangers. "These are more realistic for you," she waved at a shapeless gray garment. "They're 40% off, but still $200 each." Jessica joined them, clipboard in hand. "We'll need a credit card before any fittings. Store policy for certain situations." The humiliation was deliberate, a spectacle for the other whispering customers. "Poor things. They probably saw the store in a magazine and didn't understand it's not for them," one woman hissed. Amelia's eyes burned with unshed tears. She had endured mean comments at her scholarship school, but this felt different. This was pure cruelty, cloaked in store policy. What these women failed to grasp was the extraordinary story behind this vulnerable little girl. Amelia's mother, Victoria Johnson, was only 16 when she became pregnant. Her biological father vanished at the first ultrasound, leaving Victoria alone and adrift. Dorothy, then 52, juggling 3 cleaning jobs, made a life-altering vow. This child will have every opportunity life can offer, no matter the sacrifice. And she delivered. For 12 years, Dorothy worked tirelessly, saved every penny, even sold her humble home to ensure Amelia attended an elite private school. Victoria, now 28, had herself earned a full scholarship to Harvard at 18. Her trajectory since then? That was the inconvenient truth Lauren and Jessica were about to discover in the most humiliating way imaginable. "Grandma," Amelia whispered, tears finally escaping. "Maybe we should leave." Dorothy gently squeezed her hand. At 68, she knew dignity wasn't negotiable, but also that justice sometimes demanded patience. "No, dear. she replied calmly. Your mother will be here soon. She always said she wanted to be there when you chose your first really special dress. Lauren rolled her eyes. Great, another person. I hope they understand we can't have crowds. Just then, the boutique phone rang. Jessica answered in her most refined tone. Madison Avenue Boutique, how may I help you? The voice on the other end was firm, professional. I need to speak to the manager immediately. I have a delicate situation involving discrimination in your store. Jessica frowned. I'm sorry, but who is this? My name is Victoria Johnson. My daughter and my mother are there right now and they are being treated inappropriately. I intend to resolve this before involving my lawyers. Jessica's blood ran cold. Victoria Johnson. The name felt familiar. One moment, she stammered, covering the phone. Is there a Victoria Johnson here? Someone's mother is complaining. Lauren looked at Amelia and Dorothy. Is it you? Dorothy smiled subtly. My daughter has always been very protective. Jessica returned to the call, feigning composure. Ms. Johnson, I assure you, all our clients receive exceptional treatment. The voice on the other end turned arctic. Interesting. Then why is my 12-year-old daughter crying? And why was my mother directed to discount dresses in the back of your store? The two saleswomen exchanged a panicked glance. How did this woman know exactly what was happening? I'll be there in 3 minutes, the voice continued. And I suggest you spend those 3 minutes thinking about how to explain why you judged a family by their appearance without knowing anything about who we are. The call ended abruptly. Lauren tried to steady herself, but a primal alarm screamed in her mind. Maybe we should reconsider our service, she murmured to Jessica. It's too late for that, Dorothy stated calmly, checking her simple wristwatch. You had your chance to do the right thing. Amelia watched, still clutching her grandmother's hand, as the dynamic shifted. Her mother's call had changed everything. Outside, the powerful purr of an engine stilled in front of the boutique. Dorothy smiled. Ah, she's here. Lauren and Jessica had no idea that in the next few minutes, they would learn why the name Victoria Johnson should have sent them running for the hills, and why underestimating a family based solely on appearances was about to become the most expensive mistake of their careers. Each new humiliation, each sneer, had only strengthened something within Amelia's family, a silent, unyielding force fueled by the very injustice these women sought to impose. Every act of contempt was, unknowingly, drafting their own sentence of defeat. Justice, they would find, was coming, and it would be served in the most devastatingly elegant way imaginable. The boutique door opened softly, a stark contrast to the electric tension within. Victoria Johnson entered, her measured steps echoing on the Italian marble. At 28, she embodied true power, not announced, but simply present. Lauren and Jessica watched nervously. There was an indefinable aura about her, yet her appearance was deceptively simple. Dark jeans, a basic white blouse, comfortable sneakers. Nothing to hint at the financial tsunami about to engulf their lives. Amelia, dear, Victoria said softly, her arms open. Their embrace lasted long enough for Lauren to notice a detail that made her gulp. The seemingly simple watch on Victoria's wrist was a Patek Philippe, valued at over $80,000. How was the treatment you received here? Victoria asked, her eyes now fixed on the saleswomen. Dorothy smiled. Very educational, dear. Very educational indeed. Jessica attempted a desperate recovery. Mrs. Johnson, there's been a slight misunderstanding. Of course, we can serve your family perfectly. We have beautiful dresses. Now you do, Victoria interrupted, her voice low but heavy with authority. Interesting how the options have changed in the last 3 minutes. What Lauren and Jessica didn't know was that over the past 15 years, Victoria Johnson had meticulously built one of the most formidable technology empires in the United States. At 13, pregnant and abandoned, she could have crumbled. Instead, she forged adversity into an unyielding drive. While other teenagers dreamt of prom, Victoria devoured programming manuals in public libraries. While nursing baby Amelia at night, she absorbed online computer science courses. At 18, she secured that Harvard scholarship. At 22, she founded her first startup, selling it at 25 for $50 million. Today, VJ Technologies was valued at $2.8 billion, employing over 15,000 people across 23 countries. Victoria was one of Forbes' youngest female billionaires, a testament to raw intellect and sheer grit. But this was just the prologue to what these prejudiced saleswomen were about to learn. "You know," Victoria said, walking casually through the store, "my daughter shared some interesting things about her experience here. Comments about suitable people, suggestions for more appropriate stores." Lauren tried to interject. "Ma'am, if there was any misunderstanding—" "There was no misunderstanding," Victoria cut in, her voice firm. "There was deliberate discrimination, and discrimination has consequences." Just then, Victoria's phone rang. "Hello, Marcus." Marcus Patterson was her general counsel, one of Manhattan's most feared lawyers, a specialist in civil rights, known for transforming seemingly simple cases into multi-million-dollar victories. "Victoria, I got your message. I'm on my way with the team. Documents are ready, and so are the cameras." Marcus's voice, clearly audible, made Lauren and Jessica visibly blanch. "Perfect. Be here in 10 minutes. And Marcus, bring the Madison Avenue properties contracts. We might need them today." Victoria hung up, her smile unwavering as she looked at the two women. "Do you know Madison Avenue Properties? It's the company that owns this building and 40 other commercial properties in this area." Jessica felt the floor give way. Lauren, though shaken, tried to maintain composure. They couldn't know that 3 years earlier, Victoria had quietly acquired 60% of Madison Avenue properties through a series of shell companies. Technically, she owned the very ground they stood on. "Mom," Amelia whispered, "why didn't you tell me about the building?" Victoria gently stroked her daughter's hair. "Because, dear, sometimes people need to show who they really are before we decide how to deal with them." Lauren made one last desperate attempt. "Mrs. Johnson, I'm sure we can work this out amicably. How about a special discount for your daughter?" Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "A discount? Do you truly think this is about money?" Dorothy approached her daughter. "Victoria, remember when you were Amelia's age and asked why some people were so cruel?" "I remember, Mom. You said it was because they'd never learned that true class comes from within." "And what else did I say?" Victoria smiled. "That one day I would have the power to teach them that lesson." At that moment, a man in an impeccable suit entered, flanked by two equally polished women. Marcus Patterson had arrived. "Victoria," Marcus greeted, kissing her cheek casually. "How are my favorite goddaughter and Mrs. Dorothy?" The casual familiarity spoke volumes to the saleswomen. Marcus wasn't just any lawyer, he was family. "Marcus, I'd like you to meet Lauren Mitchell and Jessica Thompson," Victoria said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "They've just given us a very enlightening demonstration of how they treat customers they deem inappropriate for their establishment." Marcus produced a digital recorder. "Perfect. Victoria, you know I love well-documented discrimination cases." One of his companions stepped forward. "Sarah Chun, investigative journalist for the New York Times. Pleased to meet you." The other offered a professional smile. "Amanda Foster, producer for CNN's Justice in Focus." Lauren and Jessica stared, eyes wide with utter panic. The situation had spiraled completely out of their control. "Now," Victoria said, her voice commanding the boutique into silence, "you have two options. First, we resolve this discreetly. You take full responsibility and implement real measurable changes in your customer service protocols." She paused, letting the tension coil tighter. Or second option, this case becomes national news. You lose your jobs, face discrimination charges, and I use my influence to ensure you never work in luxury retail again. Jessica tried one last defiant card. Ms. Johnson, with all due respect, this seems excessive for a simple misunderstanding. Victoria turned slowly toward her. For the first time, a hint of her true, unyielding authority surfaced. Excessive? My 12-year-old daughter was publicly humiliated by two adults who felt entitled to judge her based on the color of her skin and the simplicity of her grandmother's clothing. You questioned whether a child deserved to be in the same environment as you. Jessica, you suggested we look for more appropriate stores. Lauren, you demanded a credit card before allowing a child to try on a dress. And you both permitted other customers to make humiliating comments about my family. Marcus began recording. Sarah Chun took out her notepad. Amanda Foster clicked on a small camera. I'm giving you exactly 60 seconds to decide, Victoria continued. After 60 seconds, what happens here will be entirely your responsibility. Amelia, holding her grandmother's hand, watched her mother with a mixture of admiration and pride. At 12, she was witnessing a profound lesson in dignity, justice, and the power of refusing to accept the unacceptable. Dorothy whispered to her granddaughter, "This is the daughter I raised. The girl who promised me that one day, no one would treat our family as inferior." Marcus's timer began its countdown. 60, 59, 58. Lauren and Jessica were caught between national public humiliation and an admission of guilt that would surely cost them everything. What they didn't know was that Victoria had already sealed their fate the moment she saw her daughter's tears. Justice wasn't just approaching. It was being served methodically, coldly, with the precision only 15 years of business success could provide. The most devastating part? They themselves had meticulously chosen every element of their own destruction through every prejudiced word, every contemptuous look, every moment they had underestimated a family based solely on appearances. These privileged saleswomen were not just facing a mother protecting her child. They were facing a force of nature who had turned every obstacle into a stepping stone to the pinnacle of American society. 45, 44, 43. Lauren broke first. I choose the first option, she stammered, visibly shaking. It was a terrible misunderstanding. We can talk. Resolve this discreetly. Jessica, however, clung to her defiance. Look, this is getting ridiculous. We did nothing but follow store protocol. Victoria raised her hand, stopping the timer. Interesting. Lauren chooses to admit the mistake. Jessica chooses to deny it. She turned to Marcus. Record that officially. Ms. Jessica Thompson, Marcus stated formally. Are you denying that you treated a 12-year-old customer in a discriminatory manner based on her race and socioeconomic appearance? It wasn't discrimination, Jessica stammered, finally realizing the trap she'd walked into. It was just what? Victoria cut in, her voice chilling. Just racism disguised as store policy. At that moment, the boutique's general manager, Margaret Williams, came rushing down the office stairs. She'd received an urgent call from her boss. Victoria Johnson was in the store. Ms. Johnson, Margaret gasped, panting. What an honor. If there was any problem with the service. Victoria's smile held no warmth. Margaret. Right. How long have you been managing this store? 5 years, ma'am. And in 5 years, how many times have you trained your staff on racial discrimination? Margaret paled. We have clear policies. Which clearly don't work, Amanda Foster, the CNN producer, noted, camera in hand. May I ask you some questions about the boutique's training protocols? Sarah Chun of the New York Times turned to Lauren. Could you explain why you suggested a family look for more appropriate stores? Lauren was openly panicking now, tears welling. I didn't mean it. It was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding, Dorothy said softly, speaking for the first time since Victoria arrived. It was exactly what you meant. You judged a child by the color of her skin. Victoria walked to the main counter and took out her phone. Marcus, please call the Human Resources Department at Madison Avenue Properties. I need them to review the store's lease agreements immediately. Margaret felt the ground vanish beneath her feet. Ms. Johnson, please, we can work this out. Yes, you can, Victoria said calmly. With real changes. Sarah, do you have everything you need for the story? Sarah Chun smiled professionally. Statements, photos, even audio recordings of the discriminatory remarks. It will be a comprehensive story on discrimination in luxury establishments. Jessica finally exploded. This is absurd. A simple conversation turned into this whole circus. You can't destroy our careers because of a misunderstanding. Victoria turned slowly to her. Jessica, you still don't understand, do you? She gestured to Marcus, who opened his briefcase, revealing a stack of documents. These are the anti-discrimination policies all tenant stores in this building are required to follow, he stated. Policies you clearly violated today. And these are the records of similar complaints against this boutique over the past 2 years. 12 documented cases of discriminatory treatment. Margaret was distraught. We didn't know. We never received those complaints. Because they were directed straight to me. As the building owner, Victoria said, I wanted to see if it was a pattern or isolated incidents. Victoria walked to Amelia and Dorothy. Honey, do you remember when you asked why some people are cruel? Amelia nodded. Today, you're seeing that cruelty has consequences, and we must never, ever accept being treated as inferior. Victoria turned back to Margaret. You have 48 hours to implement a comprehensive anti-discrimination training program. Lauren and Jessica will be terminated immediately, and if there is one more reported incident, I will terminate the lease. Lauren burst into tears. Please, I need this job. I have children. Dorothy stood up and approached Lauren. Honey, I worked as a cleaning lady for 40 years. I was humiliated more times than I can count. But never, not once, did I treat another person with disrespect. Having children should teach you to be kinder, not crueler. Jessica tried one last desperate play. You can't do this to us. We'll sue for harassment, for persecution. Marcus laughed openly. Please do. I'd love to defend that case in court. Documented racial discrimination versus what, exactly? Consequences for one's own actions? Amanda Foster approached with her camera. Jessica, Lauren, would you like to comment for our report on discrimination in luxury establishments? It airs tomorrow during prime time. The two women looked at each other in utter panic. Reality had finally slammed home. Their careers were over, their reputations destroyed, all because of 15 minutes of arrogance and prejudice. Victoria took Amelia's hand. Come on, sweetie. Let's find a store where you'll be treated like the princess you are. As the family headed for the door, Victoria turned one last time to Margaret. Oh, and Margaret, the rent increase scheduled for next month? It's just been moved up to next week. Consider it an educational fee. Outside, Amelia held her mother's hand. Mom, did you always know this was going to happen? Victoria smiled. Honey, 12 years ago, I promised myself my daughter would never go through what I went through. Today, I fulfilled that promise. Dorothy hugged them both. Do you know the best part of all this? What, Grandma? It's that those women finally learned a lesson their parents should have taught them long ago. Respect is not optional. In the car, Marcus called Victoria. The contracts are ready. The boutique has 30 days to comply or face eviction. Victoria looked in the rearview mirror. Lauren and Jessica were still on the sidewalk, consoling each other in despair. Do you know the difference between revenge and justice, Amelia? No, Mom. Revenge is about hurting those who hurt you. Justice is about making sure they never hurt anyone else. Neither Victoria, Amelia, nor Dorothy could have imagined that this story was just beginning. Because in the coming days, something would happen that would transform this isolated incident into a national movement forever changing how black children are treated in American retail establishments. It would all start with a single photo Amelia had discreetly taken during the commotion. A photo that would go viral beyond anyone's wildest predictions. 3 weeks later, Amelia's photo exploded online, garnering over 10 million views. Justice. For Amelia became a national trending topic. Lauren Mitchell was not only fired, but blacklisted from the entire luxury retail industry. Her social media was flooded, forcing her to move to another state. Jessica Thompson faced a similar fate, losing her job and the expensive apartment she could no longer afford. Madison Avenue Boutique implemented the most rigorous training program in the industry. Margaret Williams publicly apologized on national television and established a scholarship fund for disadvantaged youth interested in fashion. Victoria used the media spotlight to launch the Amelia Foundation, dedicated to combating discrimination against children in commercial establishments. In 6 months, the foundation documented and resolved over 200 similar cases. Amelia found her perfect dress at a family-owned boutique in Brooklyn, where she was treated like royalty. Her graduation was broadcast live, with Dorothy in the front row, wearing an elegant dress Victoria insisted on buying. "Mom," Amelia asked months later, "why didn't you react more strongly that day?" Victoria smiled, hugging her daughter. "Because, honey, true strength isn't about shouting louder, but about using your voice in the smartest, most impactful way possible." Dorothy, now 69, became an official ambassador for the Amelia Foundation, traveling the country, sharing her story, and teaching about dignity and resilience. Lauren and Jessica learned the hard way that prejudice comes at a price. Victoria proved that the best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you, but building something so great that their opinion becomes utterly irrelevant. Today, when Amelia walks into any store, she carries the certainty that she deserves respect simply for existing. And when other children face discrimination, they know someone fought so that it would never again be accepted in silence. The real victory wasn't humiliating two prejudiced saleswomen, but ensuring thousands of other children would never endure what Amelia went through that day.